women demanding things in relationships. Women putting out, you know, a list of like things that they want. Oh, if he doesn't jump through these hoops, if he doesn't do this, if he doesn't, you know, do this thing that I want, then I'm leaving. I'm out of here, you know. It's funny, but love for women is very conditional. Very conditional. He has to be this kind of guy, and you'll see this in relationships where like women will put this set standard on the man that they're with, and the guy realizes that. The guy knows it's there. You know, and there's many men like this. I think this is something, I don't know if I would use the word, I don't know if I quite use the word subconscious in this context. I don't know if I'd use the word subconscious. I would use, it's almost on a subconscious level, but it's ingrained in some men that like, yeah, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy who can demand things from women. I'm the guy who has to jump through the hoops to get lucky to get a woman. I'm the guy who has to jump through the hoops to get a woman. There's many men out there, and you could use, for lack of a better word, you could use the word beta male. You could. It's very beta to be subservient to a woman. Very beta. I'm not saying the opposite is the way to be, where like you have to rule over a woman. Oh, to be alpha, you gotta. No, it's just, you just need to have your own, you know, self-confidence, your own autonomy. But a man who's jumping through hoops to keep a woman is a man who is subservient to a woman. And you'll have many men who will tell you, you know, this is the way to be, happy wife, happy life. You know, this is what you got to do to keep your woman. Maybe that's what you got to do to keep your woman. But, you know, I wouldn't want to be in that situation where I got to walking on eggshells to not piss off my wife because, you know, I'm afraid she might leave me. You know, like that's weak. That's beta. That's, yeah, man, I don't know what that is. That's just, it's very, it's just very weak, you know. But I see this a lot. And then, you know, women making demands, and they do this with leverage. They do this with, you know, leveraging sexuality, because women know, no one knows better than women that men ultimately just really want sex, right? Of course, women want sex too, but the difference is that women can get sex anytime they want, because guys we don't put any standards on sex. We don't put any boundaries. We're not bartering or leveraging with it. Women are, right? So there's a difference there. But women know better than anyone that guys want sex, and so what do? They know better than anyone that most guys aren't getting sex, right? Women know these things. Women, you know, if we're talking about like red pill terminology, many women know red pill terminology innately. You know, inherently they know this stuff. It's just they don't talk about it because it's their power. It's their power to know these things, you know. So many women are leveraging and bartering with sex to get what they want. And what do? They want the docile guy. They want the money. They want the place where they can, you know, have the kid and everything's nice. And you would think, well, what's wrong with that? Well, nothing on the surface is wrong with it. But when you look at, you know, the fact that she's trying to force this situation to happen. She's trying to, you know, leverage the situation to happen using sex to get what she wants. It's cheap. It cheapens the love experience. It's like, no one says you shouldn't have money. No one says you shouldn't have a family and have kids. It's just that if you're selling sex to get it, it's weird. I wouldn't call that love. If you're bartering and demanding yourself into a relationship, I wouldn't call that real love. I would call that you're just getting what you want because you're twisted. You think that, oh, because all men want is sex, and I'm just going to have to not ever have sex and use sex as a tool to get what I want. And you can have the sex, but you got to jump through my hoops first. And it's just like, that's weird. Why are you doing that? How about this? How about you develop a personality? How about you learn about love, what love is? How about you try to have a quality relationship that's not based on sex, that's not based on you chasing the bad boy, that's not based on you thinking all guys are trying to manipulate you, because there's plenty of guys who are looking for a relationship just on the basis of a relationship itself, right? So go have a relationship. Why is that so hard? You know what I mean? It's like, why is that so hard? So I don't know. It's that many women are narcissists. If you're trying to control every situation, you're a narcissist. If you're trying to manipulate the situation, you're a narcissist. I've met so many women. I think there's so many more women narcissists than there are men narcissists. I think the male narcissist is actually a lot more rare. I think it's pretty common for women to be narcissists. I really do. I know there's many women who would disagree with me on that, but the irony is women are attracted to male narcissists, right? Women don't like nice guys. A nice guy is not a narcissist. He's the opposite of a narcissist. He puts others before him. That's turn off to a woman. You know, to most women. Anyway, yeah, if you're jumping through hoops, if you got all these standards for your man and he's got to do this and do that, I mean, it's almost like you're in a business relationship. You're not even in a relationship. You're in a business. You're in a you're in a transactional relationship. You're exchanging intimacy and sex and love and a relationship for the things that you want. You're saying, oh, you got to make the money, you got to jump through the hoops, you got to be this type of guy, you got to do all these standards. And it's just like, why do you got to be like that? Why can't you just be, loving? Why can't you just be, hey, I just want to love one man. I just want to love this man. I don't care if he's rich or poor. I don't care if he's, not the perfect guy in so many ways. I just love this guy because he's the guy that I love. I fell in love with him. Whatever happened to just falling in love? That's what they call it, falling in love. Because you kind of throw away common sense. Or I shouldn't say common sense. That's not right. You kind of throw away all your standards. Excuse me. Well, you can throw away common sense too, but that's not, that's not the wisest thing. You don't want to throw away common sense, but you should always have common sense in a relationship. But if you put all these standards in a relationship, it's just like, ugh, who wants to deal with that? I'll tell you who wants to deal with it. The weak man. The man who's like, okay, no one else is going to deal with this woman. She's got all this baggage. She's got all these problems, and she's demanding, and she's a narcissist, and she's putting standards on the guy. He sees an opportunity because he knows, well, most guys probably aren't going to touch her, but I'll deal with all that BS because I got nothing better. So I'll jump through the hoops. I'll pretend like I'm, Jimmy go get him, right? I'm the guy who can, jump through the hoops. And so he does it. And then what? And then she's running the relationship. And you see it. You see it in the body language. You see it in, you just see it in these relationships. You see it in so many relationships where the woman is actually the head of the household. She's actually the leader of the relationship. She wears the pants, and he's just like, yes dear, happy wife, happy life, yes dear, and he's jumping through the hoops, and it's because they have this weak beta mentality. You don't want to be with a woman who's like that. You don't want to be with a woman who's like that, and you don't want to be the type of guy who's jumping through those hoops. And when one thing you should do, which I've learned, is you should look at her dad. Look at how her mom treats her dad, because that's how she's going to probably treat a man. And unfortunately, particularly in the last generation, from like the 80s and the 90s, you know, parents who are now entering their 50s and 60s, you know, these type of parents, there's a lot of that type of relationship. And I think that's because there was a lot of literature and a lot of feminist crap that was going on in the 80s and 90s that sort of quote unquote empowered women. But what all it really did was cause them to be just insufferable and make all these demands. And I see that a lot. I see a lot with liberal relationships too, particularly like, you know, where the woman is a feminist and the guy is a male feminist. Male feminist men are weak. You masculine strong men don't want anything to do with feminism, because feminism is not really for men, it's against men, and it's for empowering messed up women. That's all it is. It's for leveraging, you know, power dynamic into women's favor. It's a gender supremacy cult, and it's against men fundamentally. I don't care what the definition of feminism. Oh, it's about equality. Wrong. Yeah, that's the definition in the dictionary, but what they actually do, what they actually talk about, what's actually in their books, what's actually in their rhetoric and their literature is not equality. It's putting men down. It's, you know, uplifting women over men. It's empowering women to be degenerate, to behave poorly, to be, you know, against, you know, teamwork, to be against love. It teaches them to sleep around, kill their children. It's sick, you know. And so what's the result of that? The result of that is you have all these relationships where the woman is taking the lead, you know, and she doesn't really care about her husband that much. And it's sad. And you see people who are just lost in that weird world where, you know, I'm the woman, hear me roar, and they're holding their relationship hostage. They're holding their man hostage. And he's just like, okay, I got to do these things to get the sex. Okay, I got to do these things to, you know, so she'll touch me, so she'll touch my pee-pee, you know. And it's just like, and then that's the type of guy who turns around and he like brags, well, you guys are incels, and you hate women, don't you? All this crap. And it's like, dude, you're just an Uncle Tom, you know. You're an Uncle Tom for all intents and purposes. You are an Uncle Tom. You are the dude who hates his own gender, who will backstab and throw his own gender under the bus for a little piece of pussy. And you'll sacrifice your self-esteem, your self-worth, and you'll, what's that term called, accept a series of, I forget how that goes, when you take 1,000 concessions or something like that. Accept a series of 1,000 concessions. There's a phrase, you can Google it, but it has to do with like how women will just like try to kind of, they'll edge in a way, they'll figure out a way to like piss you off, or they'll do this, they'll do that. It's like a power dynamic thing where they're trying to knock you off your axis, trying to knock you off your, you know, confidence. And like, you don't want to be with a woman like that, man. Do not want to be with a woman like that. You want a woman who's going to uplift you. You want a woman who's going to support you, love you, not condescend to you, a woman who really genuinely respects you, a woman who understands you, understands your situation, understands, who you are. She's not sizing you up by your bank account. She's not sizing you up by the size of the house that you own or the car that you drive. She's not sizing you up by all these outward crap. She loves your heart. She loves your character. I mean, that's what love should be. That's what how a woman should treat a man. How can men find this? I don't know. That's why I'm single. That's why so many men are single. Right there. It's because women don't love us for our heart. Women don't love us for our character or our spirit or our, who we are, because those things don't matter in life, because it's a sick world. Those are the things that should matter. What should matter is, are you a good person? Are you a kind person? Are you thoughtful? Are you loving? Do you have a good character? That's what love and life should really be about. But instead, it's what's your bank account? What kind of car do you drive? How successful are you? How good looking you are? How tall are you? What kind of shoes are you wearing? Da, da, da. All this outward materialistic crap. And I'm not saying that there's not merit in that. I'd rather live in a big house than a small house. I'd rather live wealthy than poor. It makes sense, in a way it makes sense, but it's not that that's just complete crap. It's not that that's there's something to be said for making money. Sure, we'd all like to live nicer, great, but when it comes to love, it's like that's not what love is. You're confusing love, and what women are doing to really to their own detriment, and this is why half of marriages fail, if not higher percentage, is you're conflating materialism with love. He's got to jump through these hoops. He's got to make money. He's got to do this. He's got to be successful. And then, there are women who live vicariously through their husband's success, and they're happy. Sure, I think they're happy in a materialistic sense. I got this nice home. It's clean. I got my nice rug. I got my nice pets that I love. I've got my nice deck. And yeah, you can live a nice life that way, sure. And some people do, and some people get away with it. But again, I don't know if I'd call that love. I don't know if I'd call that... I think that's more like... And you might think and you might really love that person. I don't know. But the question of questions is, if that person lost the money, if your husband lost the ability to provide you with the lifestyle that you wanted, would you still be with him? And I don't think many women pass that test. I think 8 or 9 out of 10 would not pass that test. I think most women would leave their husbands and their spouses if the men couldn't provide anymore. If the men lost all their money, went homeless, whatever, I think most women would leave. I really do. And if you got one that would stay, then that's a good one, But the only way to test that is to have nothing. The only way to test that is to not jump through those hoops. The only way to test that is to not impress a woman with your money. To not go out here and try to, fulfill her hypergamy. Right? You love me for me. I am what I am. I'm this... I might be boring one day. I don't have any jokes. I don't have any great conversation skills or this or that or the third. I'm not saying you shouldn't make yourself more interesting as a human being, but you are what you are. And if you're just plain old boring you and nobody loves you, then there you go. It is what it is, But if you're plain old boring you and some woman loves you, then she really loves you. Because, hey, I'm this boring dude. There's nothing really interesting about me. I'm just a boring guy. But she still loves me, I don't know. It's hard to say, man. But it's not that you couldn't develop a great personality. It's not that you couldn't develop a sense of humor and win people over that way. But I'd rather that than winning people over with money. But I remember, I haven't heard this in a while, but I remember 10, 15, 20 years ago, people used to say, just be yourself. Just be yourself. Because if you find somebody who loves you while you're being yourself, then you found the right person. I think that's pretty good advice. Be yourself. Find somebody who loves you for who you are while you're being yourself, and then and that's the person you should probably be with. But don't jump through the standards, man. Don't be that weak guy who's, I hope I can get a woman. It's like, I guess if you don't want to be single and you don't want to wait for the right person, because probably if you would have waited, you might have found somebody who loved you for who you really are. And during that time, you could have developed a great, sense of self-confidence, maybe develop more of a personality, develop more of, again, self-confidence or self-worth. Because a lot of the reason why these guys are even doing that in the first place is because they don't have self-worth. They don't have self-confidence, and they don't believe in themselves, and they don't want to wait around for the right person to come. And they may never come, and so that's a fear, is like, gosh, it may never happen. So I'll just jump through these hoops. I'll just go be this subservient, docile beta male, pretending to be a feminist, pretending like I care about all our issues so that I can, even tricking yourself into thinking you care. There's something scummy about that. There's something that's like, ew, it's like a traitor almost. It's like a yes man or a pick me girl or a pick me guy, right? Pick me, I agree with all your BS. It's scummy. It's like you can't, you got no backbone. You got no backbone in that type of relationship, and I see it too often. It's sad. I see it too often. But anyways, that's just a little explanation. I'm gonna leave it there. Appreciate y'all listening. Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.